Good evening. Welcome to the first of two lives this evening. Me and Pat will be going back to back straight away, literally 3.5 hours. Jolly good fun. Here we go. We're joined this evening by myself, Pat. Rich is due on. Don't know where Rich is. We've also been joined by two massive Newcastle fans who I do speak to on the regular. He's here. Evening. Woke
Good
up.
morning. I have.
Loving the pink shirt.
It's brighter than your future, man.
Yeah. It's 2024. It's the year of the dragon. What can I say?
We've got Baz through Black and White Eyes. Welcome, Baz. How are you, mate?
Good, you?
Yeah, not bad, mate.
Good,
Not
man.
bad. And we've got Roller, who is from it's all Black and White TV, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. It's all Black and White TV.
As well as myself, Rich, and old pink shirt himself down there.
Yeah. I think I was talking to Baz about signing Laporte on Twitter last night.
Yeah, that was probably me. Is that not today?
Last
night for you, 'cause
last
you're
night
different.
for me, yeah.
Signing Laporte.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Chronicle put
really.
5 names who were in Saudi Arabia who Newcastle could loan, and Laporte was one of the names that were on there.
Oh. Is that where the Mahrez stuff was coming from as well?
Yeah, Mahrez, Laporte, Mulovic, Savage, Mahrez, and there's another one. Can't
I
remember.
think Mitrovic's been mentioned, and I personally don't think we're going to get anyone from Saudi.
Right. I started the Mitrovic rumor yesterday, and everyone's
Are you
just
going
jumped
back
on
in
it.
time?
I literally
Going
just
back.
said I would love to bring him home. Right, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just said I would love to bring him home, and everyone's just jumped on it and started putting out all this. Oh, Mitrovic is coming back. I would love him back. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ! I literally just put out there saying I would love him back.
Well, Baz, and nothing cures anxiety like a bit of nostalgia, is what they say.
It does. To be fair, so funny though.
I'm
The
still
amount
waiting
of people
for
who
that.
have
I'm
jumped
still
on
waiting
it.
for Glauber Bertie to come back, you know, right? And Danny Allsop.
Barry Conlon.
No, you can have Barry Conlon, Jesus. Danny Allsop's another.
We should just change the name of that show to the Allsop and Conlon Appreciation Society.
throw in Jerry Craig.
'Cause I don't think we can get on a show without mentioning those two names.
Simon Clark, a massive thank you, mate, for joining the membership. You will now be entered into the monthly prize draws. Thank you, mate, for that. You are a legend. Good afternoon, Andy. It's not like you to throw in your sarky comments section. Good evening, mate. How are you? Blue Heart's on. Don't start encouraging Andy Blue Heart. Come on now. Richie's dog.
Mm-hmm.
Rich wants us to put the dog on the thumbnails. I ain't doing it because I was expecting a huge dog. And then he sent me something that looked like one of the furry things. I don't know what the children have. No, it's not a dog.
A rat.
It's not even a rat. I don't. What you sent me, Rich, was not a dog.
It's like a husky.
What's the rat's name? Bruno Fernandes.
It might have been the photo. It didn't look a very big dog.
That's because it's only the head. Because it was going.
Right, there you go. Then. Yeah, get over there. By the way, just remind everyone, top left-hand corner as you look, you can see the QR code. That is now live with the you go onto their QR code, it will take you straight to savageonline.com or savageonlinestore.com, which will get you all the great football, not just Manchester City merch, but all football merch. Andy can get that done for you. And if you put in the code MANWAY, all capital letters, you will get instantly 10% off. That is now live, up and running. So there you go. And so, yeah, get over there and show Andy a lot of love. Big Morgan, how are you, mate? Good evening, world champions. Good evening to you, fellow world champ. Chrome Abyss, hello all. DC's on. It's chuffing freezing out here. Yeah, I've got the heating on, mate. It's freezing. It is freezing. Hi, Martin and guys and the girls out the Mancunian way. Thought I'd become a member after calling you a Gruffalo over on City Extra. Was that you, Simon, who called me a Gruffalo? I thought it was him in the middle there who started that one. Simon, no worries, mate. Call me whatever you want. I've been called a wise old owl, Gruffalo, all sorts of things in the last 48 hours. Fossil. I'm only 41.
Old
I don't know
Testament.
where my fossils come from.
Old Testament.
All right, now.
Jesus, I'm 42. This is not good.
Music, Andy, I keep telling everyone, is a split between Joy Division and Manchester, other great bands. With the Mancunian way, we're trying to get a bit of a Manchester theme in as well. Evening top of the league, how are you? FIFA, good evening, mate. Cade is in the building. FFP have fucked the richest owners in the world. Don't start Baz on. He's been on Twitter for the last 3 hours complaining about that. And we're all the devil and the top six of this, that, and the other.
The fans aren't. The owners are.
You can blame us for that. It was our fault FFP got introduced because we were the devil. And as soon as we got taken over, they had to stop us. And FFP was the way to...
It wasn't your fault. It was all the owners of the 20 Premier League clubs who voted for it.
Oh, yeah, it was because they didn't want us.
They didn't want another Manchester City to happen.
Yeah.
So they put the FFP in because they thought that there's enough competition at the top of the table already. We don't need any more. So we'll do everything we can to stop it. It'll just slow us down. That's all it'll do.
Let's be honest, guys. I think when it comes to Newcastle, I think some of the top six clubs were still pissed off because their popcorn was still warm watching you when you had Mike Ashley.
Yeah. Because I think everyone was pissed off because the teams at the top didn't want the competition, and the teams at the bottom thought, well, there's another club that we could actually drag into this shit in the relegation battle, and obviously we've transformed ourselves. So I exclude Manchester City from this because you've been where we are, know what it's like. The teams at the other big teams at the top were shit scared of what could happen, and they're even more frightened because we actually made the Champions League last season for this season, and they're worried. They're really worried. We've taken a few steps back this season, but there's been mitigating circumstances for that, and it's not as if we're going to go away.
You said, don't come on here trying to fan your flames. Listen, you got your lucky win last night. Enjoy it. You got your lucky win. Just relax. You wanted City Pool back? You've got City Pool back. Just enjoy it. Rich, that shirt is class. They're all jealous. Andy called you a big bag of candy floss a minute ago.
Well, Andy always calls me that sort of thing.
Bozza, don't worry about spreading rumours. Martin does it every day. I do not, you lying bugger. Do not. I do not. You know where I get the info from. Do not lie. Big up Martin in the panel. Hope all is well. Good evening, Mad Hatter. Bring back Richard Dunn. Jesus, is this just naming all our bloody greats? Well, because they're not greats. Martin, you go and talk them away. That is going to be talked about, Cade, at 9 o'clock when we're back on the other show. Is yes, I am going to talk them away. Yes, I have got a massive rant about it. Yes, I am pissed off about it. But I kind of knew it was coming because we were going to play on the Wednesday night. They were always going to put City and Tottenham on the TV. And the Friday night, I got told yesterday when the rumours were going round, it was all over Facebook, social media, we were the Friday night game. And the really weird thing is on that is, and I'm sorry, I've gone on my rant now, but the last train out of Euston is 10:03. The match will not finish until 10. So City fans are going to have to leave either 20 minutes to 30 minutes early to get to Euston, or they're driving down.
It's the same for us in the FA Cup on the Saturday with Fulham. They put that on at an 8 o'clock kickoff and we can't get a train home. It's something we've had to deal with for the last 10, 15 years. They always do it to Newcastle.
Yeah, but we've got Friday night in North London.
It makes no difference. It's exactly the same. It's still the same late kickoff that's screwing the fans who want to go down.
Oh, yeah.
Now got to pay for accommodation and try and find accommodation and then try and find a way home the next day. It's not how it should be. They don't think about the fans when they arrange these fixtures. All they care about is the armchair fans across the world who sit there and pay for the subscriptions, which pays for the Premier League.
I have got to read this out. I know where Andy's coming from on this, because you were one of the 9 who voted against us to get our punishment. You was, Baz. Factually, you was. I know it was my
Fans
Cashley,
weren't.
not you.
Club was.
Yeah, my Cashley.
Let's just remember that.
To be fair, Andy, that was my Cashley's era that voted to get us done.
Exactly.
Not PIF. It was Mike Ashley who did. But they are one of the 9, and Pepper's talks about. I'm sure they make 115 charges on Newcastle next. Anyway,
we've got to break rules first before we get 115 charges.
No, you don't have to break rules, Baz. You just have to be successful, and then they charge you anyway. It was all to keep the Red Cartel winning everything in England. Exactly, and we know that. Because as I've quoted out 1,000 times, look at all the time City would not have won the Premier League. There is only 2 clubs who would have won it, Liverpool or Arsenal. Tells you everything you need to know. So, hey-ho. Anyway, let's get into it. Newcastle, Manchester City, 5:30 on Saturday. We'll start with our guests. We'll start with you, Roller. How are you feeling? Because I did speak with Pete earlier, PD Proudlock, who cannot come on, was going to come on. He's very nervous about this.
Yeah, and very rightly so. Though we've got a little bit of a confidence with the Derby win last weekend, but you're talking a whole different kettle of fish playing Man City. It's like going from playing the Rose and Crown Hackney to the best team in the universe, literally. I mean, missing Joe Linton is going to be a big miss for us. I'm not confident at all. Before I knew Joe Linton was missing, I thought we might get something out of the game. Not confident at all at the moment. The big problem is we all of a sudden become very gung-ho. So we're pushing forward, and we leave massive gaps at the back. And if you've got pace and can get behind, you can play through our midfield quickly. We'll be in real trouble. And even without Haaland, you've got the guys up front to punish us. We've got to be more disciplined if we want to get anything out of this game. We've got some players back, and some of them are coming into a bit of form. But I think the 2 things that give me hope is, one is that we've had a week between the games, so they'll be doing some training, trying to fix some of the problems that we've got. And 2 is bloody freezing outside, and I'm hoping that your coach freezes up and you can't actually make it to St James's Park. I think those are the 2 chances we've got at the minute. It's football, anything can happen. But if you look at it objectively, you'd expect Manchester City to win this one. I can't really say more than that. I don't want to say it. My heart says, "Oh yeah, we can turn you over, we can get a point or something," but my head's saying, "Nah, it's not happening." I think a big competitive game will make you work for it, but I'm not optimistic at all.
Okay, Baz, do you have any more optimism?
Not really, no.
See, I'm not sure if they're playing reverse psychology here, you know.
No, definitely not. I mean, when Joe Linton went off last Saturday against Sunderland, and they said that's going to be a couple of weeks, that was our chances of getting anything against you lot. If we had Joe Linton, Bruno, and Sean Longstaff in the midfield 3, I would say we could batter you off the park and get a draw and literally hurt you physically. You know, not with skill or anything like that, but Joe Linton would be there for the fight, and he would literally drag us through that game like he did last time. Willock might be back, so that could be a potential to go into that midfield 3 instead. So, but if you're going to throw Miley in and you're going to throw Bruno and Longstaff alongside them, it's dangerous. I love Miley. He's been fantastic. He looks the part, but he's still not filled out yet. He's still not the finished article. And coming up against a team that passes the ball well as you do, like we've seen against Luton and against Forest, if we commit ourselves too much up front, you'll just go straight through the middle of us. because we don't have the Calvin Phillips yet who will sit there and do the dirty work. And that's what will probably happen. So if we're too brave, we'll get caught on the break. So it depends how we set up.
Have I missed something in the last 10 minutes? Why is everyone going Josh Kimmich?
No, no idea.
Bayern announced Eric Dyer.
Yeah, well, not.
I don't know.
I think so. I think it was on Sky. I don't know.
Pat, from our perspective, how are you? Now, obviously, we know Akanji. The news is apparently he's not. The rumours are at the moment is he's not trained at all. There'll be more of an update in the presser tomorrow on Akanji's situation. John Stone's apparently still out. Again, more details tomorrow. So, and the Haaland news is he's not fully training, but he is training, but he's not fully training. So, where are you at with us right now, going up to Newcastle? Because I think this is quite a difficult game, personally.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, for starters, the first thing I think most people would say is we've got Rodri at least. So, you know, that's a big plus, of course.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, if we're talking about the losses that we've got, then Newcastle is certainly missing some important pieces. I mean, as Baz and Rolls, you know, alluded to, I think looks like Joe Linton is going to be out, and I think he's a huge part of your midfield as well too. I remember watching the Carabao Cup match we played earlier this season. I mean, he just bullied our midfielders off the pitch basically, and just made our job so much more difficult. So I think him missing is going to be huge as well too. Other notables as well too. I think Callum Wilson out injured as well too. He always seems to put in a good show, put in a good performance whenever he plays against us. And I think Harvey Barnes too. I think is a bit of a loss as well. I think he's vastly underrated, that guy.
I know, correct that. Sorry, Kanji is back. See, I've not been on social media for 3 hours.
Okay, so forget everything I just said then.
So he is back. Kanji is back.
Yep.
Thank you all in the chat. I actually didn't know that. I haven't been on social media for 3 hours. There you go. It broke 3 hours ago.
So in that, look, in that case, you know, if well, this completely changes everything I was going to say, but if Akanji is fit and ready to, you know, is ready to play, then, you know, I think, you know, we go back to the reverse fixture of this earlier in the season where we won at home 1-0. And I think it was one of the first matches that Pep had played Akanji as the John Stone sort of role, inverted in that. And he actually didn't play too badly. So the question remains, is Akanji match fit? Because I think we can say that if he does end up becoming match fit, hopefully, thankfully, you know, it wasn't anything serious against Huddersfield, the injury he sustained, then I could see him definitely being starting as the inverted John Stone sort of role. Because I think I wouldn't say Pep's grooming him, but Pep seems to think that he's the next best option available for that role when John Stones can't play it. I mean, he'll never be as good as John Stones for that role, but you can see him doing that as well too. I'm sure during the show we'll go through what our projected lineups are, but you know, if Haaland doesn't start, that's fine. I'm more than comfortable, more than confident with Alvarez up front. You know, whether he plays as a 9 or he drops back and plays even a little bit of, you know, provisional false 9 or false 9 by proxy, whatever you want to call it. I'll be pretty confident, pretty happy with whatever lineup Pep puts out there based on availability. So, look, at the end of the day, you know, you can walk in there saying like, okay, we're odds-on favourites. There's a bit of confidence in that too, but St James's Park has one of the best 12-man atmospheres in English football. So, you know, just one good challenge or just one good attempt on goal or something like that can just really raise the crowd and can completely put a game on its head. So, you know, it's one of those things you get nervous about, but also too, if you love the game, you can always take a step back and be like, yeah, this could be a good match. And, you know, we proved it in the past. We had a 3-3 draw there last season, and that was probably one of the best games of the season to watch, actually. So whether you have your neutral cap on or not. So for me, you know, this is always a great fixture. The only thing that disappoints me is that I'm not there, because the only thing as good as football, I think the only thing that you could say is as good as football up in St James's Park is a weekend away in Newcastle. So, you know, hopefully I can do that. Hopefully I can do that next season. So yeah, look,
what wasn't great?
I'm quietly confident, but you know, you got to respect and accept.
I'm not.
You got to respect what's it. What?
But the atmosphere wasn't good in the Carabao.
Pat, it's Pat, is that because watching from about 7,000 feet up in the air?
That's what I was waiting for.
It's a bit like watching it on TV in Australia, so it makes you feel like you're at home.
We're the flattest continent in the world, mate. I'd have to go acclimatise back. No, I'm not going to say Peru because I know what Martin's like. But I'd have to go back up to South America and acclimatise, yeah.
Climb Mount Kosciuszko and watch the game and then put your iPad.
Mate, Mount Kosciuszko, the equivalent of Mount Kosciuszko doesn't even get you to the mezzanine at St James's Park.
You do get a nosebleed up there, Pat.
Sorry?
You do get a nosebleed up there.
Yeah, I've seen footage of it and everything like that. I know.
And I've even been on the back row.
Gives you a heart attack walking up it.
Baz, I got the lift.
Yeah, you lazy sod. He took the bloody lift.
No, I've got a blue badge, so I get the lift. No, the simple fact is...
You stick it on your forehead?
Yeah, the simple fact is I even ended up on the back row of the top tier. I was on the back row.
Still a lot of steps to climb, even if you've got a blue badge.
Yeah, I still had to climb. Yeah, it wasn't great. Rich?
I think it's the perfect game for Newcastle in a way, because it's a bit of a free hit with the injuries.
Oh, I hate that word.
It's true. If Newcastle get the results, you can turn around a lot of things. Feeling some of the nonsense negativity from some of the fans, which I've seen over the last few weeks. You could turn that round. You could, get yourself on the start of the run, and if Newcastle lose, well, if the fans all feel as you do about it, then it's kind of like on to next week anyway. It's not 3 points lost. I do think Joe Linton's a huge loss, because I think what we've seen with City this year is the one weakness we've had, and more so when Rodri's been out, is young, energetic, fast midfields, getting on top of us a bit. That'll probably change a bit now. De Bruyne's back, and obviously Rodri's playing. So, but that's definitely been something that has done a bit of damage. I just have a feeling City are starting over the last, since Christmas, really starting to get the players back fit, starting to look like they're going out to win every game, and starting to look like we're becoming focused. So I wouldn't be surprised at the moment if City go on a run. If it wasn't for having to go to Tottenham away in the cup, and Son will probably manage to score even though he's in Korea. If it wasn't for that game, I'd be thinking we're going to go on a 10-12 game winning streak now, because we just look like it. And I'm really hoping that we get to see Doku against Dan Burn, because I think that would be...
We don't want to see that.
That'd be a little
Thank you very much.
That'd be a bit unfair, that, Rich.
I'm wondering if Doku could actually dribble between his legs.
That'd be this decade's version of Maicon marked up against Gareth Bale.
Baz, don't miss it off away. Doku would be past him before Dan Burn had even seen him.
If Doku's a half decent player, you can make Dan Burn about 5 times before he even turns around, man.
I love Dan Burn, but he's got the turning circle of an aircraft carrier. It takes him so long. Whether he plays
he's about as tall as one too.
Yeah.
I feel pretty optimistic about it, because I think we're about to go on a run. But I do think for Newcastle, it is a bit nothing to lose. And if you did get a win, you got a good result, it would turn around everyone would be back on Twitter thinking you're going to win the league and you're going to dominate football for the next 10 years again, instead of moaning about Miggy and Dan.
I believe you're going to go on a run, because this is the time of the year that you start taking the league seriously, and it's not impossible that you could win out the rest of the season. I'm not saying you will, but it's being where you are in the league now. how many points off the top are you?
5 with a game in hand.
5 with a game in hand. Was it last season you were 12 off at this time? 12 off at this time?
Yeah, got to, I think 8 with a game in hand, so it could have been close to a dozen.
Yeah. So yeah, all the teams that nothing is won in December. I know. I'm in Merseyside. I'm in Merseyside, and the one of the jokes going around is, "Where's Liverpool?" It's on the table, top of the table. But nothing's won in December. This is the business end of the season. If you put your runs together now and you keep it going, that's when titles are won. That's when the Champions League places are won. And I have full faith that you'll do that because you've done it so often in the past. Was it 4 on the trot you've done titles?
No, we're going for 4.
This will be the 4.
You're going for 4 on the trot.
Yeah, we're going for 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I expect you to go on another run, sort of like that. I mean, I know I'm pessimistic, but for the game on Saturday, but there are a couple of bright lights that we've got that give us a chance. The main one is Alexander Isak. If we get him the service, he's the next best striker in the league after Haaland. And I think Anthony Gordon, having had a week's rest, could cause problems. But
I knew Martin would start laughing at that. I knew Martin would start laughing as soon as you mentioned Isak, even though statistically he's the second best striker. He's not a left winger, man.
Yes, he is. What's in the Sociedad?
He's not a left winger.
Never played striker. Couldn't it count out the banjo at Sociedad?
Of course he has.
I'm not having this. He's best behind.
He's the second. Well, he is, because statistically, if you look at his statistics, he's the second best striker.
What are you going for Dominic Solanke for then?
We're not. It's a lot of crap.
It's okay. When Martin used to say Vincent Company, he's a midfielder.
Yeah, Vincent Company.
We're looking for another striker because we can't keep him and Wilson fit both at the same time. So
exactly. So
I don't want both fit. You don't know who to play.
Well, sorry.
I said when they're both fit, you're not sure who to play.
No,
I'd play Isak.
Isak
he always plays
this
Isak.
Is where I'm
unless there's a
striker in the Premier League.
Unless he's a Champions League game coming up, when we're in the Champions League, he used to always play Wilson in the Premier League and then Isak in the Champions League. And then when there was a week in between, he'd play Isak because Isak's the better player.
Fair enough.
See, that's my thing. I think Alvarez is better than Isak.
Alvarez is a great striker. I'm not going to argue against that. But statistically, at the moment, Isak's the second best striker in the Premier League.
I mean, I've not seen a lot of Alvarez because obviously I don't follow City as much as you do. I know he's a cracking striker. Again, in your team, if you're a cracking striker, you're going to score a lot of goals because you create a lot of chances. Haaland's is a machine. He's obviously a different player to Isak, but Isak's in front of goal is ice cool, a bit like Haaland. But he's more of a creative player. That's why he's when he moves out to the left, he's almost as effective. But he scored most of his goals.
I like Isak. I wouldn't say he's nonchalant, but he just doesn't let things phase him.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
He's cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
He scored most of his goals
on the ball all the time. Yeah, whether he's got 2 defenders on him or whether he's through on goal, he always looks calm.
Yeah.
He's a good player. Yeah.
The goal at Anfield says it all. You know, he didn't really get a sniff in the game until that chance, and he buried it. And then the 2, he would have had a hat trick against Sunderland if it wasn't for the own goal.
Yeah.
But can I ask you a question? When was the last time Haaland scored against Newcastle? You know, since he's the best striker in the Premier League.
Was it the 3-3 game?
It was the 3-3 game. It's amazing that, isn't it? The best striker in the world can't get past one of the best defences in the Premier League, can it?
Yeah.
We even had Lascelles at one of those games who kept our Haaland.
Have you heard this?
Come on, Baz. Let's be real here.
This is what always cracks me up about Haaland. He has 2 games without scoring, and then people
you
are
a Man
thinking
U fan or a Newcastle fan? You like trying to go for that little victory.
Yeah. It is a victory.
Baz, I don't know if you're a cricket fan, mate, but this is a much better version of Baz Ball. Yeah.
I'm a cricket fan, mate.
This is what I can actually enjoy.
Tell you what, you've got the chat going because they're all hoping Haaland smashes hat tricks now.
Well, he probably will.
No,
my luck. This is what happens when I open my mouth. The opposite always happens.
Well, I mean,
I don't know if he trained Thursday, but he hadn't done full training as of Wednesday. So
I read somewhere earlier this morning he trained, but not full training. Yeah. Which I don't know what even that means.
He was on campus, but he wasn't with the other players apparently. So
yeah,
I don't think
training's no means not playing with other players, isn't it?
Haaland might not play for another 2 weeks.
I just can't see him playing in January at all. I just think I think he might get a little bit of a run, maybe Spurs, maybe Burnley, but I think Pep might be saving him for that run when we start going every 3 days again.
Yeah,
where he until we get to the every 3 days with the cup competitions, Champions League, etc., and all that. I think Haaland, if we're playing every 7 days, Haaland will get like maybe 20, 30-minute runs, and gradually it'll get more and more. But once we get to every 3 days again, the business end, when we really start to click, I think that's when Haaland will be starting every game. I think he's saving him now to prime him for the run home.
So that's another clean sheet against Haaland this weekend, then.
Possibly.
I think he'll be back for Spurs, to be honest. I think we'll be recalling players from former title-winning sides for Spurs.
The last time we scored a bunch of goals at Tottenham, I think Edin Dzeko was playing, so he's still going at Fenerbahce. So can we loan him out for the end of the season?
I'm going to ask.
Dzeko now, he must be about 80 or something.
Well, you can. Well, 80 is still a respectable age in the Turkish league. So yeah, he's doing all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The funny thing is, there was rumours going on about Grealish not fully training today. Now, if Grealish is fit, do you see Grealish or Doku starting?
Both.
Oh,
what are you going?
Foden's not playing.
I've always thought that, but we signed Doku to play in the same team as Grealish and play very different roles. So, I'd be inclined to, keep Grealish there and put Doku on the right wing against Newcastle's left back.
So you got the chat reel going here, right?
Good, I like it.
Oh, Pat, what do you think he'll do? Because I'm not expecting Newcastle to play a low block 10 like everyone else has in the last 6-7 games.
No. I mean, there will be times where they will probably play with a low block, but they'll also be setting up, ready for the erratic pass so they can get it out quickly to your Anthony Gordons and to your Isaacs and those players. But look, I think Newcastle will be as competitive as we will anyway, regardless of who they play. But what Rich said is it does, even though it goes against everything that we've been talking about so far this season about Doku's not playing on the right anymore, but it just screams of, you're missing a trick here if Doku doesn't start, especially if he is marked up against Dan Burn. And, we laugh about it, but, it's a huge advantage there if you were to play him out on that side. I think
somebody else there you left out.
Sorry?
Somebody else there, that Mr.
No, I get that, but I mean, Bernardo can also play centrally as well. But if you look at it on paper, it's screaming for Doku out on the right because he will give that Newcastle's left side of defense absolute headaches. I think if it's a perfect opportunity for him to do it, but I mean, there's even a discussion you could even consider putting Doku on the left and moving Grealish into the midfield because we've been seeing it over the last few weeks that Jack has been slowly moving into the left half of midfield as much as spending time out on the left side. So
I think you play Bernardo. I mean, I wouldn't be fooling around with Jack in the middle in that game. I'd have Bernardo with Foden, and Bernardo can go back and support Rodri when he needs it, and provide that ability in the middle. I'd probably be dropping for this game. I mean, because Haaland's not playing, you're moving Alvarez dropped from the midfield to play at 9, and then Bernardo slots in and Doku comes back, and I think that's the way to go. Grealish, Doku, and Alvarez up front, then Bernardo, Foden, and Rodri in the middle.
I mean, you've got a really good team, but the guy that you have that really gives me nightmares when we're coming up to play against you is Phil Foden. I think that guy is superb. The way that once he turns and drives towards the box, it's almost unstoppable. He's just so good. Brilliant player.
He is at the minute, Roller. He is at the minute.
He's the form player at the moment.
Do you know what it looks like with Foden? It looks like he's matured. He's grown up, especially more this season. He seems to have just grown. There's different things that he's done. He started acting a bit like a captain. He's bigging up other players. He's telling them to get up off the floor. And he's even now, the one thing that people always said about Ford, including Pep, was you don't go back and do the dirty stuff. You'll do all the forward stuff, but you ain't coming back and helping. And that's a big no-no in Pep's book. Pep even wants Haaland to come back and get involved in the dirty stuff a little bit and help. And Foden is now doing that.
Yeah, and I
looking to a whole new level.
You're right. You're right, Martin. I think with Phil, sorry, Rich, with Phil, it's just you always felt like even up until the end of last season, there was always elements of his game where you were still seeing the 18-year-old lad who was just coming out of Centurion season, scoring his first goal in the formidable season and that. And then this half a season, you feel like he's matured about 5 years. He's just come on in leaps and bounds in terms of, his leadership and, his involvement on the field, both defensively and attack minded as well. It's just, it's such a good thing to see. And, it's funny actually, because I was watching the Newcastle Forest game a few weeks ago, and I was actually quite impressed with Miley, your midfielder. And, is there any sort of element of his game that you see in terms, as you mentioned, you don't get to watch it as much as we do, but is there any sort of element of his game that you could probably correlate to maybe Phil? Is he more an attacking-minded midfielder, or is he more like a number 8?
He's more of a box-to-box. He will be a box-to-box midfielder. Okay. Yeah. He's not a Phil Foden. He's not even close to a Phil Foden. Okay. He's intelligent, though. His touch is brilliant. His decision-making's quick. He's crisp passing. He's I don't want to big him up too much, too early, but in the mold of a Steven Gerrard, a Frank Lampard, someone will get box to box and do the dirty work as well as the good stuff up front.
At his age too, is it? At his age too, is it something along the lines of he's good now, but wait and see in 3 or 4 years' time?
Oh yeah, he's only 17.
So he's a wait and see sort of project. Okay.
I mean, you watch him play, and you don't realise that he's 17, and this is his first proper run in the first team.
He said, I thought he was 19 or 20. Yeah,
he was 17. Wow. He's going to fill out. He needs to work on his defensive side of his game. He needs to be more disciplined, because that's one of the problems we've got at the moment, is that when we're attacking, everybody's going forward and the back four's exposed. So between the three of them, they've got to have someone dropping back. But one of the things that impresses me is, for someone so young, he's so calm on the ball. He's got a goal and a couple of assists already this season.
Would you start him in this match on Saturday?
Well, we've got no choice.
We've got no option.
I think that's been the story of our season so far. The teams we've been putting out because we've got no choice because of the injuries. We've had. We're getting players back and then we're losing them again.
Yeah.
Speaking of injuries, obviously the Belgian king is now back. Rich, someone's asked you. Now, we're going to touch on this at 9 o'clock as well, or just about. So we will touch on this a little bit. And I've been battered because I'm the only City fan who does not want to wrap him up in cotton wool till March. Everyone else is wrapping him up in a big cotton ball and not playing him until March. I don't think we've got the squad to do that right now. I really don't.
I think I'm halfway in between. I'd wrap him up till February. We've got 2 weeks off coming up.
Yeah, then
I wouldn't be starting him. Yeah, I'd love to. He'll be on the bench, and
would you give him the second half?
I would like to see him get half an hour. I would see how the game's going at 55, 60 minutes, and either bring him on to change it because it's not going well, or bring him on because it is going well to help see out. But I would definitely want to see around the hour mark KDB coming on at St. James. But I wouldn't be wanting to start him till after the 2-week break. I'd probably be, maybe thinking that his first start is at Spurs, right at the end of January. So I want him in February, when we start to go to 2 games a week. Yeah. But I'm not wrap him up till March, but because he needs to get he needs to be match fit in March. He needs to be back to his best. So he's got to start playing a 90 minutes or 2 in February or late January so that he is back to his best for the end of the season. So I'm kind of halfway in between, maybe not quite as aggressive as you starting now, but certainly we can't afford to wrap him up till March. We've got to have him primed at his best.
No.
Rich, Rich, Mark, we're in a great position right now to utilize him with his match fitness because, if you can get him on for 20, 30 minutes, he's a perfect player to bring on when the game is stretched.
Is he the sort of player
he's perfect if the game is stretched, if we're looking for a goal or, even if we're looking to shut up shop in a way a bit, he's a perfect player to bring on for that time. And given his fitness and coming back from a long-term injury in that, it's a great way to utilize him.
Is he the sort of player that when he's been out for a while, when he comes back in, he basically hits the floor running? Or does he need a few games to actually build himself up to...
Did you not see him in the last game? He played 15 minutes and got an assist straight away.
Yeah. Well, sometimes
his first touch on Sunday was nearly a goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sometimes, but also Kevin, we've said before, sometimes Kevin has those games where he can be absolutely terrible until he's not. So you can have an absolute bang average game. You could have erratic passes. You could just pass it into the man marking him or something like that. But then 10 minutes after you've said that, well, that's not like Kevin. He'll just whip out a ridiculous 30-yard pass through to Haaland or somebody, and they're through on goal. So he does have those games occasionally, but that's the thing. It's like you just wait for the inevitable brilliance. Yeah.
My main point is that there's some players, right? They can have the individual bits of brilliance in the game when they come back. There's some players that come back are almost back to the level they were before they went out, and there are other players that need 3 or 4 games before they actually get back to the best. I mean, I think a point for us is Sean Longstaff, when he's been injured, it takes him 3 or 4 games to really get back to where he was before he was injured. I'm just wondering whether De Bruyne was that. I mean, he's obviously, I'm not trying to compare the two, but it's just the way that some players get back to top speed quickly after injury, where others need a few games to actually get there.
Dear. Sorry. Sachin, we missed you, mate. Where have you been? You've been under a rock, mate. You're not the real team. I don't have to keep saying this. Listen, I don't know where to go with United fans anymore. Come on.
I think the difference what you mentioned there, right, with Sean Longstaff and with Kevin De Bruyne about coming back from injury, right? Kevin De Bruyne is not a player like Sean Longstaff, and Sean Longstaff depends a lot on his fitness. His press, right? Kevin De Bruyne strolls around the football pitch and owns it.
So I'm not trying to compare the two. It's just
but you're saying why you're saying why he take longer to come back than what Kevin De Bruyne does. It is because they're completely 2 different style players. Kevin De Bruyne could literally be out for 12 months. You'll walk on a football pitch and you can ping a pass from 40 yards from one side to the other.
No, you missed my point.
On a 50 pence, and that's Kevin De Bruyne back.
Yeah, I think De Bruyne will come back quick. I mean, there's one really interesting thing on De Bruyne, and I think none of us know how it's going, is that in the past when Kev's come back from injuries, he's often looked like he's carrying a bit of weight. He looks younger and fitter than I've seen him since 2014 at the moment. So whether he's dropped a bit of weight because that takes the load off his hamstring, and that's what he's been advised to do. But he looks young and lean at the moment, like he hasn't for years. And
so
I
he's
honestly
starting
think
to take football serious again, rather than just being absolutely amazing and I can eat what I want. Wait a minute, I'm getting a little bit older. Let's still go diet, and I'll still be
possibly. Yeah, I think for 3 or 4 years, De Bruyne has played semi-injured. He went 3 years without really having a summer break, and he was just carrying niggles the whole time. And I think almost this injury could have happened at any point for years, but it happened, and it's forced him to actually go and get proper rest. So he's had his first proper rest probably since COVID enforced rest. So I'm actually, a lot of fans are going, oh, is he getting on now? Is he going to be past it? I think we might see De Bruyne back playing better than he has for 4 or 5 years, because
my point,
I think he's going to be fitter. He's going to be fitter and better than he probably has been for a long time.
Yeah, my part of the wrapping up on Cotton Willis, I'm not saying start him now. I think he should be getting 45 minutes. Because if you look, his first game back, he played nearly 40 minutes. And nobody's realised that. Everyone's presumed it was 10 minutes, 10-minute warm-up. Played nearly 40 minutes on Sunday against Huddersfield, who were trying to kick shit out of us.
Well, he looks
There
fitter.
was no holding back on him. I don't know where this holding him back's come from. Yeah. I'm telling you, within 2 or 3 games, he's back, and he's straight back in at 90 minutes. Promise you.
I think because of what people have seen. I think it's because of what people have seen the last few years. And I think the biggest reason, Martin, is because he came back in the first game of this season and got injured in half an hour from an injury he got in the Champions League final.
Yeah, I get it.
But I think he's been playing a little bit injured for a number of seasons. And so there's always that feeling. But whereas I think now he's gone and got properly fit, and he'll have got rid of all his niggles, because you have to just look at him warming up, and he looks fitter than he has for, he looks 10 years younger.
This is a great point, Rich. He's been ready for over a month. This is what.
If the game's tight on Saturday and you've got him sitting on the bench and he comes on, every single Arsenal St James's Park is twitching, because he can turn a game.
0-0, 60 minutes, because I honestly think he'll be on at half time. Because I didn't think he was going to play nearly 40 minutes against Huddersfield. I just didn't think he'd do it. And then when I saw him rolling out in the 56th minute, I'm like, what? Where's he going here?
It wouldn't surprise me massively if he started, because Pep, it's a big game away at Newcastle. Pep could surprise us all and start De Bruyne with the idea to bring him off.
I'm not down that road yet, Rich.
But yeah. No, I wouldn't. I'm just saying, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. We'll talk about that at 9 o'clock, mate.
I was thinking that if he's done 40 minutes against Huddersfield, there is the option to start him and give him, say, 60 minutes and take him off then. I'd rather that you let him back in Manchester, but that's me.
Pep said he's going to build him up. I just think we're past the 10-minute here and there sort of thing. What some are open for, because you don't. Huddersfield at the time were absolutely trying to kick lumps out of us, just trying to hack us, and that is a game where you're like, no, because a lot of people, I was speaking to Andy and everyone else who was there. They're like, I went from hoping KDB play to watching the Huddersfield game and went, no, keep him on the bench now. We're just going to kick him and just leave him there. Do not bring him on. And then Pep's like 56 minutes in your role till the 95th minute. And you're like, it didn't look like he missed a beat. Like you said, Rich, he looks 5 years younger. I don't know whether it's the air.
He looked like he was gliding. He looked like he was gliding around the pitch, Martin. He looked like he was gliding.
Yeah, well, I think he's got fitter than he ever has. I think he's actually got fitter than he has been for years, because he's had a proper rest. He's had a proper kind of equivalent to a pre-season, and I suspect he's also been, the doctors at City. The players weigh in every day to the nearest, 100 grams. I suspect he's been told that he's less likely to get injured if he carries X kilos less, and so he's got his weight down a bit. Because look at, say, a player like Ryan Giggs at United, who played at 70 something kilos, who could play till he was 40 because because of that. Whereas you look at the likes of explosive players like Aguero, Wayne Rooney, who were really struggling beyond 30 to stay fit because of their, the pressure they're putting on their muscles. So I suspect he's got this idea: I can get another year or two out of my career if I'm lean, and I really focus on that fitness. So I think it's fantastic, as long as he doesn't lose anything in his game, because he will lose a slight bit of strength from it, but he'll probably gain a bit of short-term gain, a bit of pace, gain a bit of movement. So it'll be fascinating to see.
I hope he hasn't gone down the Ryan Giggs of keeping fit and shagging his brother's missus.
Right, I'm going to ask.
Baz, are you just worried about the Rodri on the pitch, not the Rodri that's been in the news? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask this because you two are on. Where are you at with where you're hearing with Calvin Phillips?
Can I go first?
Yeah, you go first, Baz.
Whatever.
All right, I'll go first. I'm done here. What you tell me, mate. So what I've heard is that the loan fee is putting us off, but there has been slight rumours that you're willing to move it down to 3.5 million, and then it's almost a go if that happens. But I don't know if you've heard that, but that's what I was just told.
No, I'm not. I've had no update. The last update I got was, I got told by the people I speak to, with nothing. Like I said, I'm not an ITK or anything. City wanted, it was more of decent loan fee or an obligation to buy.
Yeah.
That's
what I heard. 3.5 million is what I've heard that user might be willing to go down to. But again,
and then I read it,
really knows.
Is it the Chronicle up at yours?
Yeah.
Is that you were maybe playing brinkmanship with us to try and lower the fee, so you were hoping to leave it later?
Yeah, we're leaving it to the end of
the
window. Yeah, try and get it down. Yeah, because we can't obviously. What's the point in getting them now? We can't play against you. So then we sacrifice the Villa game, and then
what would you bring to Newcastle?
So if you watch the Luton and Forest game, if you watch the Forest and Luton game, you watch how everyone went through the middle of us because we were too expensive. He would be sitting there covering for Bruno and Joelinton when they're playing the box-to-box role. So he would bring a defensive side to the game that we don't have at the moment. We got away with it last season, didn't we, really? Because we had 3 very fit midfielders who covered the ground very well. Now with all these extra games, it's now showing that this intensity that we play at can't be kept on a Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday. And we've struggled because of it. And that's why the injuries have been picked up. So it's an option to throw in there, especially away games, when we want to make things tight. Get Calvin Phillips in there to do the dirty work and allow Bruno and Joelinton to run around and do the good stuff.
Yeah, I agree to mostly with that. It's the defensive discipline. We've become too expansive, too gung-ho, and we've left the back 4 exposed. And he'll allow. I mean, Bruno, though he's been primarily used as a defensive midfielder, he wants to go forward, and he creates a lot of our creative work around the edge of the box. But last season, Longstaff would drop back and cover. He's not been doing that so much, and again, part of it's due to, as Baz says, having the Champions League and going as far as we did in the Carabao Cup, having the number of games plus the number of injuries. And obviously, Tonali's suspension, we've not been able to keep it fresh anywhere in the team, for that matter. And I think,
would you play it properly?
Yes.
No, the reason I ask is he a Tonali stopgap, and then in the summer he's right back in the same position he is with us?
Yeah, that's what I think. And I think
that then becomes a problem. Because is he going to want to play that game?
Well, he needs to be playing for the Euro to get into the Euro squad. So you want to be playing. I think
he's just had a baby, literally about 2 weeks ago. Not him, his partner.
You never know these days, the miracle of science.
Yeah, I think one of the problems with the deal is if you want an obligation to buy, because I think we're looking for a loan to stop that.
Yeah, because I mean, Rich, Pat, you probably heard the idea is we don't really want him back in 6 months and we're right back with the same problem again. Where'd you go?
Yeah, we just don't want another Cancelo issue, you know. Somebody can't make the way in the squad, and then it's an albatross of a salary that we're trying to offload as well too. So that's the big concern as well. Yeah, but do you think? I'll ask Baz and Rolls this. I think. Do you think?
Cancelo.
Yeah, but I'll ask Baz and I'll ask Rolls about this.
Calvin's not causing any bother, and he's not on 300 grand a week.
Calvin's not trying to beat Pep up. So
and Cancelo was one of our top players.
If you're going to nitpick, then I mean, like,
we gave Cancelo.
All I'm saying is we've got one issue. We've already got one loanee sort of issue at the moment. But last thing we need is two. You know, just to make it more difficult. But like, you know, I'll ask Baz and I'll ask Rolls this. I said, like, you know, I look at with Calvin Phillips, and I think he would be much better suited to your squad than he would be to ours, because the way we look at Calvin Phillips at the moment, it's just like there's a quality player there, but under Pep, it's a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't suit us. It's not suitable for what we want to do going forward. But the thing with Calvin Phillips is he's such a good, solid, defensive-minded number 6 and a good ball-playing number 6 as well. Do you think he would allow a lot of your midfielders to actually become a bit more expansive and more versatile, and just that, even if he just does that one role as a solid defensive-minded number 6, he'd be able to give you Brunos, your Joel Lintons, your Longstaffs, so even Tonali as well. It would give them a lot more flexibility, a lot more versatility, better rotation, you know, for cup matches and things like that. Mm. So as much as you'd like to have him loaned and give him a chance to play and, you know, play way more than what he will at City and give him a chance to go to Euros, do you think you see him as a long-term? Do you think if Newcastle actually decided to put obligation to buy instead of option to buy, you'd be okay with that?
I'd be okay with it. Again, as I say, if we are going to be looking to qualify for Europe, which I think we want to do this season, we're still in touch with the European places. We're not that far away from top 5. So if we can get that solidity in front of the back 4, and if he plays well, there's no reason why we couldn't look to have him longer term. I think at the moment the initial thought is as a stopgap, because obviously we'll get Tonali back next season. It's a case of I would be more in favour of a loan with an option rather than an obligation, because if he comes and plays well, fits in with the system and with the squad, why not take him on permanently? And then you've got that great strength in midfield, and you can rotate as and when's needed going forward.
You don't know what's going to happen with Bruno long term, and that isn't a dig. I know. I'm talking more. No, I know, Baz. You're looking.
No, I get that. I get that. I think I'll give you my say on it.
Bruno could be your Jack Grealish version with Villa. That could be your only way of generating your money and quick to get going quicker.
Yes.
If you look at what Villa have done the last couple of years, then
you're going to have to wait 4 years.
You got to think upwards, yeah. But I'll put this scenario to the two guests. Is Calvin Phillips, hopefully he can offer something good for you for the short term, for the remainder of the season. But if you had a choice now, if he let's say hit the ground running and did things that, you know, we never expected him to do when he was at City, would you take? I'm not going to say you'd lose out in the European place, but let's say you only finish in Conference or Europa League, but you had a chance to win the FA Cup. Would you take that, or are you more about getting the top 4, or would you prefer to go for a cup run and, you know, get a trophy that you've been trying to go, you know, get a trophy? You'd bite everyone's hand off the FA Cup.
Puts you into the Europa League, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. I figured with your fan base, it was more about, as much as it would be good getting your top 4s and, you know, your Champions League and that, you'd bite everybody's hand off to get a trophy, because this is where
the fans and the clubs differ, because you know, you saw it with Wigan when they won the FA Cup and got relegated. Club would have taken staying up and not winning the FA Cup. There wasn't a single fan who wouldn't want it. And that's the thing for Newcastle long term, getting in the Champions League and getting that money. consistently is the only way to really
but if you look at our
to deal with
position
the
now,
FFP problem. Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? You're saying to me, I'll give you the FA Cup.
You're talking about the start. Yeah,
well, in that case, FA Cup or top 4. At the
start of the season, if you said to me FA Cup or top 4, I would probably say top 4 for the reasons that you just said.
Because I think because you look at it, if you lot won the FA Cup, it would be one of those things where Stavely and everybody from PIF would be saying, "Well, we missed out on top 4." But simply, go and have a look at the streets of Newcastle right now.
Yeah.
The streets would just be flooded with Geordies going absolutely mental because you won a trophy. You won a respectable trophy,
Winning the league and getting in the top 4, especially the season, is incredibly difficult. But you need to start getting a winning mentality. You won cups before you started winning league titles. You've got to be able to have something
to springboard
to show for the improvement that you've made and the ambition that you've got. Winning a cup is the start of that. Obviously, I'd love to get top 4. It's not out of the question at the moment. If we can turn our form around, we play you Saturday, then we play Villa away. Then the quality of the opposition drops. So if we can turn our form around, we can get into that run for when we come up against Arsenal and Tottenham again, so that we can be in form when we play them. There's no reason why we can't get top 4, but we've got to turn it around once we get past your game. And Villa away is a tough game. The Villa they've been winning more by luck over the last few games than outplaying teams.
I think we all now. I think you've got to hope others start dropping points above you as well.
Yeah,
we're relying on a lot of that.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, it's going to be hard, and this is the problem.
I think the thing about it is,
I think Bruno will leave because that is the only way to get the fast track going. Then with your money,
it's possible.
The problem
we've got, we're 11 points behind Arsenal right now as it is.
Yeah,
you lose to City and you lose to Villa. The teams above you win. We could be 17 points behind.
Yeah. And then it is game over.
You are not catching teams with 17
and the
points.
In that case, would it make more sense to try and go on a cup run?
I've heard it on your show, Baz, and I've heard it on Tony's show, Roller. And I get it. The problem is, that's why I put it in the comments, the Champions League money comes in increments as well. Doesn't all come in one big blast of cash at you. They don't just wheel a barrow at you and go, here's 300 million. they give it you in like little chunks of little increments, and that's the problem. That's the problem of it all.
That's still good though, because that means over 4 years we could be getting Champions League money that we wouldn't have got if we hadn't qualified for it. So it's still income.
But if you want to make it this year and then don't make it another year, you're kind of right back to where you were again without.
It's a bit mad, isn't it? Like again. Yeah.
I
read somewhere that we got twice as much money as anyone else, as the other 3.
This is how we've ended up with our record. In the Champions League,
we got twice as much as,
and then going deep in it every time. That's how your money there. It's took us 10 years of being consistently in the Champions League, winning the trophies, selling all our youth players. Because listen, trust me now, you've still got to comply with FFP, even when you're us that are winning all the trophies. This is why we've got to, you mentioned it, why we've got to spend sell over 100 million of youngsters out the door every summer. Because it allows us to then.
But that's what you do. You do it, and Chelsea do it very well. You do it under the radar as well. Not a lot of fans actually realise what you do.
10 years to get to that level.
Hey, you're talking to a fan who's just seen 2 years of absolutely amazingness, and you know that I know we've got 5 years before we're going to be challenging for top 4.
I said this to Pete when I was up there for the cup, and I said, "What is it your fan base want? A cup or Champions League?" And some said cup, some said Champions
the Carabao Cup. Yeah, it was a tough
and I get it. That first cup is the best thing ever because for your club, you want to win that first one. But to get where you want to be eventually, Champions League is
the way it is. Of course it is.
The trophy changes the club culture to a winning culture.
Yeah, you have to win a cup. And this is why for years I've never understood Villa and Tottenham particularly throwing away
there's no money in
the FA
a
Cup and the Carabao Cup. Yeah, but it changed. I don't think we'd have won the league in 2012 without winning the FA Cup in 2011.
I agree.
I think
it's the culture change. It's the attitude change of winning a tangible trophy that makes a difference. You look, winning a cup is a stepping stone, because really, in the long-term planning, when the owners took over, we weren't expecting to be in the Champions League this season, and no one was until we actually, sort of like 6 or 7 games out from the Tottenham game, when we thrashed them at our place. That's when people think actually we'll actually get that 4th place, because it was never in the plan for last season. So we got spoiled. So obviously we want it again.
And then expectation does that, Roller.
Yeah.
Goes bang through the roof. And we've had it this season. A treble is no longer special. A treble becomes, I want it this season, I want it next. And you're like, no, trebles just don't come year in, year out.
No, they don't.
That's not reality.
Absolutely. I mean,
the reality of it.
I mean, in reality, where I believe the plan was for this season is that we are roughly in the place where they thought we'd be, and that we'd be challenging for the European places and hopefully getting a Europa Conference or Europa League place for next season. But again, to the point about Baz was saying, I'll be so far behind if we don't win against you and we lose against Villa. We still got to play most of the other teams that will be challenging for the Champions League spot. We've got to play Tottenham again. We've got to play Man United again. We've got to play Brighton. Obviously, we'll play Villa.
Yeah, but Brighton and Man United aren't in the contention for top 4. Arsenal are. Villa are.
We've still got to play them again.
Liverpool are and Man City are.
Well, we've played Liverpool, Man City twice by the end of the weekend.
17 points we've got. We'll have to chase 17
points.
Yeah,
but you're assuming that they're all going to win. They're going to win out.
I think they will.
You reckon that Villa are going to win all their remaining games?
Not all the remaining games, but they're not going to drop 17 points, and we're not going to be able to keep winning every game as well. That's just not going to happen.
Jimmy, that's a minefield. Let's not open that. I'm not opening that kind of words right now. That is a minefield that will go whole. That's a whole new show. I'm going to start wrapping it up in the next 2 or 3 minutes.
But
we need to get on another show as well.
You're also assuming that they're going to get those many points ahead of us. Anything can happen.
I'll put my money where my mouth is, and I'm telling you right now, we will not get top 4 this season.
In my opinion, it's just my opinion outside. I think I said you'd get 6 this year. I think you'll get 6.
I don't think we'll get top
6 or 7.
At all.
I said top 6 or 7. I think the gap. And the problem is, it's like I said, it was a good thing last year you got it, but it was a year too soon. You got in there
too soon, and the problem we got is that I thought at the start of the season when we brought Tonali in and we made Barnes and all this sort of stuff, and I looked at our squad and went, right, we've probably got enough to just challenge for top 4. Then all the injuries hit, and it just went all to pot. As soon as those injuries hit, that was our season over. We should have ditched the Champions League and just concentrated on the league for me. But we wanted to. We kept on going.
You can't just ditch the Champions League. You've got to go for it.
Anyway, Pat, City won 7 out of the last 8. Sorry, won the last 5, won 7 out of the last 8. What are you thinking this weekend? Are you thinking we're going to grab 3 points again? A point? Defeat? What you reckon? Obviously, I don't do score predictions, but what are you thinking this weekend as we go around the panel?
Yeah, I'm quietly confident. I think the team is just clicking at the right time at the moment. I think maybe I would have loved to have played Newcastle maybe a week or 2, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I still feel like we can capitalize on just maybe a slight little dip in form, because I think you certainly have improved since that performance against Forest. That was a bit of a blip on the screen, I think, for Newcastle. But yeah, look, I'm quietly confident. But if things don't go well for us on the day, I'm not exactly thinking it's the end of the world if we only walk away from St James's Park with a point. I don't think it's too bad. But at the same time, too, I can't see any reason why we shouldn't feel confident and be able to put in a solid performance. I really do feel confident of us getting a result on Saturday.
Pat. Sorry, Rich. Pat.
I think we'll win by a couple. I actually think we're about to click into form, and I think it's going to be a game where we'll be talking about Doku. I do think that, you know, he's probably one of the close to the most dangerous dribblers in world football now, and I do think, you know, if there's one thing I'd say about, you know, Trippier, I love as a player if he plays on the left, or Dan Burn, who I also like as a player and I think gets a hard time when he's a good footballer, is I don't think they're the ideal fullbacks for marking Doku. You know, and I think the Ginger Prince will get our second coming off the bench.
He's putting him in the team now. He's here.
No, off the bench.
He said coming off the bench. He said coming off the bench, man.
Coming off the bench.
But,
you know, but you know, if Joe Linton was playing, I'd probably feel a lot less optimistic, because I think he does a bit of damage and he's an underrated player in the middle in the last 18 months.
Just on that KDB stuff, I was going to save this for later, but I had a look. The last time he had a major hamstring injury, which I know is different, he missed just over a month. He had one game back, played 10 minutes. Next game back, 60 minutes. Next game back was full on 90 straight out of the chute. I've just been looking at his record. For some reason, Kevin doesn't build minutes up. He just goes from the get-go. Yeah. He just goes, bung, go. It's really weird the way he treats Kevin. I don't know. Roller, obviously, other side of the coin, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm going to say what I always say for any games. If a team doesn't turn up in the Premier League, you'll get beat. So you're going to have to turn up. Having said that, I'd be a lot more optimistic if Joe Linton was playing. He's not going to be. I think it's going to be a hard day in the office for us. But football's a funny old game. You never know. But
it's a game of two halves.
Yeah, not getting all the cliches in there. But
love it.
My heart would like to see us get a point out of this at least. But my head's saying that's not going to happen. It's going to be a tough day for us on Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if you walk away with all 3 points. I don't want you to. I want you to walk away with nothing, but I can't see that happening. It's going to be. I'm hoping for a great game of football. I'm hoping that we put in a good performance, because I think that will help going into the Villa game, because we've got that 2-week break. We can sort of build. We'll hopefully get a couple of players back, so we can sort of kick off the season, the remainder of the season against Villa. But I'm not expecting much on Saturday, to be honest, result-wise anyway.
Baz?
I think it depends on the lineup. I think these are all spot on. If Dan Burn plays, there'll be massive issues with Doku running at him. But if he plays Tino left back and Trips right back, which is I'm hoping he sets up at, we might be able to stop his. Saying that, we've had a week off as well, which is the only plus I can think of, is that we've had a chance to recharge our batteries. We walked the park against Sunderland, who only didn't even get out of second gear. So my heart says Desmond, my head says 2-1 City.
I think we'll beat you 3-1, but it'll be a tough 3-1.
It'll definitely be tough. As long as we put everything out on the pitch and we leave 110% out there and we do ourselves justice, I'm not going to complain. I just want to see a performance.
Jimmy Grimble makes point. Imagine being the Saudi that owns Newcastle and being told he can only can't spend whatever he wants. We have that problem. Sheikh Mansour walked in and suddenly got told, put your hand back in your pocket.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Anyway, we're going to leave it there. A big up to our panel. Rolly, where can they find you, mate?
Yeah, I'm on it's called X now, at Pols67. And I also guest host on It's All Black and White TV.
Yeah, great channel. Baz, where can they all find you and me tomorrow night?
Yay! Through Black and White Eyes, 8:30 tomorrow night, doing a look ahead.
Oh, was it 8:30 now? thought it was 8.
No, not 8:30, mate, because I'm at work
I'm
till 7.
I'm not reading my messages.
You're not, are you? No, it's definitely 8:30 for an hour. We'll be talking this game. And Bazza080808 if you want to find me on Twitter. You can't miss me. I'm the outspoken person that no one likes.
I don't know where to go with that. And Rich, you can say them in 25 minutes. Back here. I've had to change it to 1:15, lads, just so you know.
Right. Too easy.
Because we're way over.
We are going to get some breakfast.
Yeah, I've got to give him a break. Remember, it's a dictatorship, not a democracy.
I love it. I love it.
Is that your ration cup?
No, you didn't give because you make us start it so bloody early in the morning. I only had enough time. I only had enough time to have the freeze dried nonsense, and now I'm going to head up the road and go to a proper barista. And no, we don't have Costa coffee here. Okay, we have a good, solid, strong, respectable coffee. There he goes. Good, solid, strong, respectable coffee culture over here that you wouldn't know about. Because every time I tell you if you want to get a good coffee, you're just like, I'm not knowing that.
I used to work for Nespresso. I know what's over in Australia.
And it's good, right?
Yeah, I love Nespresso.
And like I said, Peter,
I'm a flat white guy myself, yeah.
Everyone in the chat.
Same with the coffee.
Thank you so much. We are back with our Thursday night show where we're going to talk about size of the squad, contract negotiations, a little bit extension on Newcastle, a little bit of transfer talk, and bits and bobs as well. We're also going to talk about, now the news has come out about Sven. We'll go into detail on that because obviously that is horrific news today. Waking up to that news from former England and Manchester City manager Sven-Göran Eriksson. True gent, I have met him. I know he's had his personal issues behind the scenes. That's his own personal life. But when I met him, true gent, and couldn't have been a nicer guy. When I met him at the Derby home game, when we beat them 1-0, when a certain Michael Johnson burst onto the scene. Anyone remembers that game? So, yeah, but it was a night game, great atmosphere, Michael Johnson, and then just ruined his career.
Nope.
No, he didn't ruin his career. It was one of them of mental health and footballers and should be used in a more of a, what's the word? Probably more, should be looked at more. Yeah, should be looked at in a lot more stronger way. Because I think the Michael Johnson situation has massively gone under the radar too much. Sadly.
He could have been could have been
the next Colin Bell, Rich.
And could have played 60, 70 times for England as a player. He's another one like Paul Lake, who was a huge missed opportunity.
Took him over. Too much money, too young, and it took over him.
And injuries as well, because
and injuries.
Physical injuries started it all.
Yeah. But anyway, big up to lads. We'll be back at 9:15. Take care all, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having us on.
Anytime, boys. And have a great season, except Saturday when we smash you.
Same to you.